the lead generation. And really, when we talk about lead generation, the objective is to capture all of the records that are related to a potential customer, as well as the tasks and the source of that lead. So you want to capture all that data, because over time, as you continue in the sales process, you'll be able to do some relatively simple analytics to say, this source or this function, this time of year produces the most profitable customer. One of the reasons that using the Aspire CRM really helps with that is you have your lead gen all the way to your won projects and to profitability. And so you can really do some very powerful analytics to see, if you run a 10% off campaign for certain pest control, what does that do? If you give free enhancements, what does that do? But using those analytics all in one system enables you to do that. So lead generation activities that you need to do in Aspire, you have to create that contact record with a new lead contact type. You want to log the source, track initial inquiry details in your notes, and then use the built-in Aspire fields and some custom fields I'll show you to track response times. And you can do all of this information in Aspire and then grab and track those reports. And really the lead data completeness is the key thing on this step. So a little bit of a waterfall or flow chart. You have a new lead. They go through their initial stage, and you're going to create a contact. If you have an onboarding, you're going to add a field to do that onboarding, and we'll walk through some of these screens. You're going to want to track source selection. So if you use any number of tools, and we listed a few here that are pretty common, Apollo, ZoomInfo, a customer referral, social media, Facebook ads, Google paid search, whatever the sources you use, you're going to track those there. We're going to build out stages like the initial outreach, meetings and discussions, bidding, all the way to won, and then really contact-based tracking. So contacts are the unit of measure that we're really seeing from a lead source standpoint and a CRM standpoint in this initial workflow. So when you do lead sources, this is what your activity sheet can look like, whether it's from Apollo, ZoomInfo, or social media. You're going to take all those different external sources, including individual meetings, and you're going to drive all of that into your contact creation. So that really forms the core of how to use the CRM, is creating these contacts. And then we recommend, and you can do more than this, adding each contact as a new lead, so you can track the stages throughout the pipeline and lists that are in Aspire, but really use some custom fields. And the specific ones we recommend first is the source. So that will be a list of all the sources that we mentioned before. And again, you can customize this however you want, but you want to list all those sources because that's going to be a really key portion of your analytics. Secondly, the stage, which we mentioned before, from initial outreach to close lost, and then one will move the stage. And then finally, the date. So you can track how long it takes from initial lead generation through activity sets until you actually onboard the client and start contracts via opportunities. So this is what these fields can look like within the contact creation. Just relatively simple custom fields that you'll fill out for each contact. Using this allows you to create a pipeline management tool that you can export in Excel, or you can use natively right in Aspire, but you can sort by and group via the hierarchy into the different types of stages, and then use the functions that group and outline, just like in Excel, in the Aspire screen to see all the different stages, owners, sales reps. If you want that, you can customize those fields to see exactly where your pipeline sets in terms of activities, as well as in terms of dollars, opportunities, things like that. One other tool that's native to Aspire that creates some really good analytics in terms of email marketing campaigns is Marketing Pro. There are a lot of email softwares out there, but the really powerful thing about Marketing Pro is everything is integrated. So as you create these custom forms, newsletters, outreaches, you can track all the different analytics for your campaigns like you would in other commercially available email marketing softwares, but the results carry themselves all the way out to the end. So if you wanted to, you could say, I ran a campaign for emails on such and such a date. Maybe it's in February, March, if you're in a seasonal market, and it's before season. And then you can look at all of the end status clients that receive those emails and do some really powerful analytics to say, here's my cost per client, here's my return on investment, all in one integrated place where you can take lists. And so that should give you information on where you should spend on email marketing, what types of emails not just get clicks, because that's very common to measure, but what types of emails actually drive revenue and drive gross profit, which is something that is much harder to do without an integrated, Power BI or other database warehouse, without using an integrated tool. So, Marketing Pro gives you a lot of the same analytics on did people read your emails, but because all of the data sets are within one system, the CRM lets you really take it a step further and drive through specific campaigns and what those results are. So that's really step one, lead generation. And again, the biggest takeaways there are you need to create a few custom fields to really understand impact, and then utilizing the system for all of that lead generation and tracking really helps give you a better, more consistent data set. So you're not trying to go across an email workflow from an individual salesperson to an external CRM where you have to come up with a unique key to tie in to Aspire. And then if you're not fully using the Aspire gross profitability, then you might have to grab information from QuickBooks or another financial system. And not that any of that's impossible, but then you have to have, data scientists or data analysts on your team, or pay someone to be that, to scrub data to make sure that you're tying in related records.